Welcome to a new video where I'm going to be analysing the new tactics that we saw on display in the QPR game. So the first noticeable change was our setup from goal kicks, and our centre backs were kind of split in the box, ready to receive the short ball. We had a double pivot here, obviously offering support and kind of protection if we lose the ball in the middle. We had Scott and Semenyo maybe kind of in this same line. Scott often dropped deep as well. Our wingers were sometimes kind of inward, but mostly they remained out wide to create a 2 versus 1 against their fullback. So what happened often is the ball went out wide to either Pring or Tanner, and obviously then we can have some nice rotation down the wings, which I'll speak about later. Our centre backs did have the ball a lot unpressed, and this kind of allowed us to have a lot of the possession at the back, which can be a good thing or can be a bad thing. But how we used it is kind of we made a back three with King dropping in here, which obviously allowed the fullbacks to push up. When King didn't drop, we had a double pivot here who were kind of on a staggered line, so that we have one main pivot and obviously one kind of further up the pitch occupying the other one of their centre mids. Something that I also saw is that Pring inverted a lot, because obviously their inside forward would mark Cameron Pring whenever he didn't have the ball. So Pring would invert into kind of this half space here alongside James, assisted by King pushing up. This kind of created a lot of space for O'Dowda, who likes being on a 1v1. And we often saw this long ball in behind their defence from Viner to get O'Dowda, especially in the first half, to get O'Dowda down here to put a cross in. The other thing we did see a few times was Semenyo kind of dropping into this little space here, which kind of allowed Vyman, who's initially a striker, who's more of a narrow player, to get in behind for the long ball over the top, or then this drags their whole defence back even more, which gives Tanner or King even more space and room to pick up a pass. Our main attacking threats came from down the line, I thought, and we kind of did this in an interesting way. Scott, who I've noticed in recent weeks likes to come out and hug the touchline, especially when he's playing as a cam. He likes to come out and hug this, mostly the right side touchline, which kind of allows Tanner to go inside a bit more, which I think Tanner can be a good inverted fullback. Obviously the whole team shifts across to provide options, and we see Semenyo and sometimes Vyman making the run down the line for either Scott to lay the ball back and Tanner to play it forward. We saw James coming across, and when Vyman didn't run down the line, we saw a nice triangle here with James. King obviously supplying the protection, Viner there just in case we need to get it back to hoof it forward. But Vyman, I don't think really went in behind that much. It was more Semenyo, which I thought it should be the other way. Vyman should be going in behind, because I think Vyman prefers to run onto things, whereas Semenyo, I think he'd be better suited in this situation, getting the ball to feet and turning and running at their defence. We look to press a lot more in this game, which is something that I'm really glad to see. The main thing is when the keeper had the ball, because often they played the ball back to their keeper trying to get out of danger. Semenyo would make the curve run from where the pass came from, and obviously O'Dowda shutting off the passing lanes and that. But this curved run kind of means that this player over here for them isn't allowed the ball. Then obviously the curved run, this player isn't allowed the ball, so it has to kind of be forced out that side. And we saw this a lot with turnovers with Callas and Atkinson when he came on, heading the ball away. But another good pressing idea that we used is Vyman and O'Dowda covering both of these players, because obviously if Tanner and Pring does, then that will leave space down our side for their inside forwards. So O'Dowda and Vyman were kind of in between these two players here. So if the ball went out to their wide centre backs, O'Dowda would quickly press them, meaning that they had their back facing, so they were facing towards their own goal, meaning that you one way to go. And then obviously if a floated ball comes over the top to their wing backs, which didn't happen a lot, O'Dowda, if Pring does go up, then either O'Dowda would cover or King would kind of cover Callas if he goes out there. So we had a good organisation when pressing. Another good thing that I noticed was due to the fact that they played with inside forwards, and when teams do play like with inside forwards like Chelsea, they can often drop into, like, if the centre back has, they can often drop into this position here, which is designed to kind of drag our centre backs out to allow all this space for their striker, which you see with Chelsea a lot with Lukaku getting in behind, which I think is how he scored against Villa or whatever. But their inside forward kind of drops into this space. Instead of our centre back covering, James would often shift off with King pushing up here, because now he has no one to mark in this space, because previously obviously inside forward was in this space, so King needs to stay deep, but now King doesn't, so he kind of presses up to, again, you see here there's not really any options other to go long, so I think our pressing really did work today. So we did often kind of sit back a bit when, especially when we had 10 players, so obviously it's hard to press with 10 players against 11, but when they had the ball here, we kind of ran a mid-block 4-5-1, 4-4-1-1. I would have liked to see a 4-4-2 with Semenyo and Scott there, because we did see pressing traps where if the ball went there, Semenyo blocked off the passing lane, O'Dowda went there, Scott went there, but I think it would have been easier to start off these pressing traps in a 4-4-2, because obviously you have Scott and Semenyo who, if the ball is there, they can each kind of press and they're close to the person already. So I think obviously we were organised in that respect, especially when the ball was out wide with one width, because obviously they have the wing back out there who did stay really far out wide. So our back four will kind of shift across with our fullback on their fullback, our centre back on their inside forward, our other centre back on their striker, and Pring on the other inside forward, because it can be risky when, especially when the ball goes out wide, there can be gaps appearing in our back four when we're playing against front three. So I think our defence was really organised in a kind of mid block and in our pressing. Thanks for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.